You know, the most fascinating stories are almost always hiding in the most unexpected places. And you'll never guess where we found today's story. Not in some dusty scientific journal, but on a local business website. Seriously, let's dig in and find out why your street address matters a whole lot more than you probably think. Look, we all want pretty much the same thing from our homes, right? We want a little sanctuary, a place that feels just right, not boiling hot in the summer, not freezing cold in the winter. It sounds so simple. But what happens when getting that simple comfort isn't just about fiddling with the thermostat? What if it's a full-on daily battle against an invisible enemy? An enemy that isn't a faulty piece of machinery, but the actual environment right outside your front door. So to really get into this, our story today takes us to Aurora, Colorado. And this place, well, it's the perfect example of how that simple, universal goal of just being comfortable at home can get really, really complicated. I mean, think about it. The basic tech that heats and cools a house is pretty standard stuff. But in a place like Aurora, you can just take that standard rulebook and toss it right out the window. Here, engineering isn't just about installation. It's about going to war against some truly extreme conditions. All right, so let's meet the antagonists of our story. The three big environmental villains that are constantly trying to wreck the very systems designed to keep you comfortable. And trust me, the first one is a real doozy. First up, we've got altitude. Aurora is sitting at nearly 5,500 feet above sea level. Now, what does that mean? It means the air is thin, really thin. And for something like a furnace, which needs to mix air and fuel just right to work properly, that's a massive problem. It's basically like trying to run a marathon while breathing through a coffee stirrer. Next on the list, the temperature. Aurora gets these things called Chinook winds. These are these warm, dry winds that can make the temperature swing by a staggering 40 degrees in just a matter of hours. Imagine what that does to your heating and cooling systems. Constantly kicking on, shutting off, it's absolutely brutal wear and tear. And if that wasn't enough, the final opponent is literally the ground your house is built on. Aurora sits on this expansive clay soil. When that soil gets moisture in it, it can swell up by as much as 10% in volume. We're talking about the ground physically lifting and shifting your home's foundation. It's wild. Okay, so these forces might sound a little abstract. Altitude, shifting soil, whatever. But their effects? Oh, they are incredibly real and very concrete. Let's break down exactly how these environmental quirks cause critical, expensive equipment to just fail. This chart just connects all the dots perfectly. Take a look. That thin, high-altitude air, it puts so much stress on a furnace's igniter that it eventually just cracks. And poof, you're left with no heat in the middle of winter. Or how about the dry climate? It just chews through rubber O-rings, causing refrigerant leaks. Your symptom? An AC that's just blowing warm air. And finally, that shifting soil literally pulls your ductwork apart, leaking all that expensive conditioned air straight into your crawl space. This quote from the source material just says it all, doesn't it? The environment isn't just a passive backdrop here. No, it's an active force that's constantly working to dismantle these systems, piece by piece. It's a relentless, slow-motion siege on the very idea of modern comfort. So yeah, the challenges are immense. But this is where the story gets really interesting. This is where clever engineering comes into play. The narrative shifts now from just the problem to the very specialized solution that's needed to fight back. A key concept you gotta know is derating, and it's a fascinating idea. Instead of trying to force a machine that was built for sea level to work way up in the mountains, engineers actually tune it down on purpose. They adjust it to make up for the lack of oxygen, which ensures it runs safely and efficiently, instead of just burning itself into an early grave. Pretty smart, right? And that's why this isn't your standard, everyday installation. It's a precise science. Technicians have to derate the furnace, they have to adjust the airflow to account for that thin air, they have to modify the gas pressures, and they have to meticulously seal every single duct connection. It really is a whole different ballgame. So we've been focused pretty heavily on Aurora, Colorado, but the lessons we're learning here apply absolutely everywhere. Let's zoom out for a second and see why this super local story actually matters to you no matter where you live. Here's the big takeaway. Your home right now is fighting its own quiet, unique battle with its local environment. Whether that's the salty, corrosive air of a coastal town, or the intense, sticky humidity of the south, or the bone-chilling deep freezes of the north, every single location has its own set of challenges. And understanding that specific battle is the real key to a home that's truly efficient and reliable. So we're left with this one final question. The story of Aurora pulls back the curtain on these hidden battles against altitude, crazy winds, and moving soil. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the invisible forces at play right outside your window? What's the hidden environmental battle that your home is fighting every single day?